Good morning. My name is Gene Chan, Hearing Officer for San Francisco Public Works. Cerise Waiters is the clerk of this hearing. This hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterwards through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there is no sign-in sheet. So if you would like to receive information about the results of this hearing, please send an email to the email address listed on the hearing notice, urbanforestry@sfdpw.org. This hearing is being held to consider the following items. Order number 212041, to consider the removal of 2 street trees without replacement adjacent to 81 and 85 Turquoise Way. Order number 212042, to consider the removal of 1 street tree without replacement adjacent to 2309 Broderick Street. And order number 212045, to consider the removal of 1 street tree with replacement adjacent to 4333 26th Street. My job as the hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make a determination. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director will make the final determinations. When the director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them if you have provided contact information. The hearing will proceed as follows. First, I will ask Public Works staff to speak first and present the case. There is no time limit for this presentation. Next, I will allow the property owner or representative to speak. Finally, any member of the public who wants to speak. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers and will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds left. If you are a party to this proceeding, I will call on you to speak. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before you speak. If you're a member of the public who wants to speak, please wait for me to call for public comments. Then use Zoom's raise your hand feature if you're on the computer to put yourself in the queue to speak. If you are dialing in on your phone, dial *9 to indicate you're raising your hand. When it is your turn to speak, I will recognize you. If on your phone and you're muted, press *6 to unmute yourself. After all comments are completed, I will close the item. We'll now begin the hearing. First, we'll open up the hearing to general public comments on matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Are there any general public comments that are not on today's agenda? Mr. Clip?
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I make this comment in all my comments today in my individual capacity as a member of the public and not in my capacity as a member of the San Francisco Urban Forestry Council. So I've already mentioned at just about every single tree removal hearing I've attended in the last many, many years that San Francisco has one of the smallest tree canopies of any major city in the United States. And back in 2014, when we issued our urban forest plan, that canopy was estimated at 13.7%. Based on more recent CAL FIRE data, though, this is now estimated to be closer to under 13%, which means that we're losing trees at a pretty rapid rate. And this data was based on information gathered between 2018 and 2022, which was before our 2023 and 2024 storms that further devastated hundreds of trees. We already know that we're failing our 2014 urban forest plan that called for 50,000 new trees by 2034, that we are failing our 2021 climate action plan, which called for 40,000 new trees by 2040. And we're also failing to put into practice the preservation and replacement policies called for in both of these plans. We have not net gained a single street tree since 2017. And in fact, the data indicates that we have lost unbelievably hundreds of acres of trees in our city since 2017. So just now is not the time for our city and its leadership to continue business as usual. We need to be doing everything we can to preserve what we have, preserve and plant more trees. And I would just ask that the data, our failure of the recommended policies, tree removals with no replacements, and the lack of adequate funding and resource for our urban canopy at this moment be considered in any findings and recommendations from today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other general comments? Okay, if not, I will close this item and move on to the agenda items. First item is order number 212041. May I please have the department make its presentation?
Sure thing. I will start sharing my screen. I have a presentation prepared. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Caden Sullivan. I'm a relatively new urban forestry inspector with the city, but this is the to proceed with the hearing. Our Bureau's mission is to preserve and grow the urban forest while balancing the safety and needs of a growing city. We ensure safe, clean, and green infrastructure in the public right-of-way. As part of Street Tree SF, we have $19 million set aside in the city's general fund for maintaining the street trees in the city to keep them healthy and sustainable. With the census that was completed in 2016, we've used this data to create priorities and a proactive pruning schedule for the city's over 125,000 street trees. Our tree ordinance establishes authorization and standards for addressing a wide range of issues. It is codified under Article 16 of the Public Works Code. Our ordinance dictates the removal of trees requires a removal permit. And if a tree cannot be planted in its original spot, then it must be planted at a nearby location. In most cases, a tree removal permit will not be granted if a tree is healthy and structurally sound. We go through some tree removal criteria as I can show here that we look through, whether the tree is dying, dead, dying, or not thriving, poor species for the location, growth and the growth is no longer sustainable, damage to private property, or the tree is hazardous. Yeah, that's how we work through a flow chart to determine our to see if it fits our criteria for removals. And without further ado, this is the first case that we have is to consider the removal of 2 street trees without replacement adjacent to 81 and 85 Turquoise Way. The location is not replantable, and the staff has approved the removal and the public has protested. For the first tree at 81 Turquoise Way, the condition of the tree is overall pretty fair, with some multiple competing stems and some included bark, and fair vigor with some dead branches, but overall good growth. But particularly the sidewalk is too narrow for this massive tree, and has already been repaired once. As you can see in the photo, there's different shades of gray between the sidewalk where it was replaced once already and with where it is. This narrow sidewalk has significant damage and is in need of repair, and the tree is stuck is between a utility vault and a sewer vent. Sustainable repair of the sidewalk is not feasible for this tree as it continues to grow and damage the infrastructure. It is a present tripping hazard and cannot be, and this tree will not survive the amount of root pruning necessary for an additional repair. For the next door tree, the 85 Turquoise Way, it's this very similar case. Tree is overall fairly good. Same sidewalk, same issues. The sidewalk has already been replaced once, at least once. And this tree is in somewhat slightly worse shape. It has a few more dead branches. As you can see, there's a dead branch hanging in the tree. So it's even less sustainable in that regards. This sidewalk is in better shape than the other sidewalk. However, it's still in need of repair. It is still too close to the water vent. I'm into the water main, and is still in need of some repair. Is still a tripping hazard. It has already been repaired once. The curb is already buckling, and the sidewalk has already been asphalt patched and is still starting to crack. And with that, that concludes my presentation for this tree. For these two trees.
Thank you. Thank you. The property owners initiated this?
Yes.
Okay. Are
Yes,
the property owners here to speak on this?
Or let me clarify that. There was no removal permit associated with these two trees, but they requested a sidewalk repair. So just clarifying that up.
Okay. I'll still have the property owners speak if they're here. Is that Mr. Paul Huey?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yes, my name is Paul Huey. I own the house at 81 Turquoise Way, and I fully support the staff's approval to remove these mature and overgrown trees, which continue to present multiple hazards. You can see from the picture how big the tree is and how close to our houses it is. The branches threaten the nearby windows, gutters, and roofs. The roots persistently lift up the surrounding cement, creating serious safety hazards. You know, in addition to that narrow walkway that I've shown in the picture in front of 81 Turquoise, which may or may not even be ADA standards, forces the elderly neighbors with walkers and people into the streets, which is a safety issue. Both the sidewalk cement and the adjacent utility box in front of the 81 Turquoise Way one required repeated replacements and temporary fixes over the years. So the cement has been replaced at least 3 times since I've owned the house. I understand that the AT&T rep has submitted a supporting statement to the Department of Public Works regarding the risk that the roots pose to the integrity of their fiber cables and other wiring underground, accessible through that utility box. Additionally, the roots are most likely damaging my lateral sewer line, and as well as possibly even the main sewer line. You know, for these reasons, I support staff's recommendation not to replace the tree. Replanting the tree here would not comply with the city director's order number 187-246, stating that guidelines with new trees, section 5, paragraph B, little 2I states no street tree planting will be allowed in the sidewalks with less than 7.5 feet. Our sidewalks are only 6 feet. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to support removal of the trees and not replanting and prioritizing public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there a property owner for 85 Turquoise? Is that Vladimir?
Yes, this is Vladimir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, and thank you for this hearing. In addition to what Paul was said and what the staff recommended, I just also want to mention that in addition, out of first of all, the tree is damaging my roof because the thick branches on the left corner of my property is constantly hitting my roof. And during the wind, and in San Francisco, it's very typical for wind to be almost every day. It's continuously rubbing against my property, and it potentially can damage the property. And also, out of the 4 windows on my upper floor, 3 windows are completely covered with the tree, and based on the standards, they're too close to the glass of the windows, and it's actually can potentially damage this as well, and also diminishing the value of the property. So, and in addition to what Paul has also said, the sidewalk is also continuously get damaged, get repaired, but continuously get damaged again by the roots of the tree. So I fully support the recommendation to remove that, and I would hope that this hearing will provide this this evidence as a requirement to remove these trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will open it up to public comments at this time. Phone number ending in 684.
Caller, you will need to press *6 to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Hello?
we can. Yes.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Walter Dia. I live on 89 Turquoise Way, which is right adjacent to 85 Turquoise Way. And the tree that Vladimir spoke about is also impacting my home as well. I lived here for at least 35 years now, and the sidewalk has been replaced, as Paul mentioned, several times. And as you can see in the picture that's on the screen, even the curb is being cracked, and the tree has damaged the sidewalk. And as you can see also on the screen on the picture on the left, the water main valve, the sidewalk there has been cracked. And in fact, I think, or I know, DPW has been out lifting our water valves, or the water covers, to trying to clear out the roots because it's impacting the water gauges in the ground there. So that has been a troublesome spot that has been, over the years been repeated to fix. And as Vladimir also said, that the tree is rubbing also against our home on the second level. It's hitting the window, hitting the roof. Is in fact caused a stoppage or a blockage in the gutter, and it started overflowing water and actually got into our house. So we had to call somebody to clear out all the tree leaves that has fallen onto the roof to get that repaired. Also, I think in the area we face Glen Park Canyon, and I understand the the impact of removing trees, but in our area there are trees, both pine trees and eucalyptus trees throughout the whole area. So it's not like there are no trees in the area. So we do have the benefit of having trees in our area. And I think that is all I want to say. I think Paul and Vladimir touched upon all the main points I wanted to talk about. And even the home next to me in 91 Turquoise, there are senior couples, and I know they always walk throughout the street to maintain their health. And it poses a tripping hazard for them as well. And I fully support the DPW recommendation to remove the tree.
30 seconds.
And that is all I have to say. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Clip?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So it looks like these are 2 New Zealand Christmas trees, and this is a pretty standard size for that type of tree. And even according to the city, these are in decent shape, which is remarkable for any tree in this city, let alone one of the more medium to larger stature, such as a New Zealand Christmas tree. this proposed removal is a pretty great example of business as usual. All I heard is that we keep replacing the concrete and it keeps not working, so we're just going to cut it down. Worse yet, it sounds like there's some prioritization of fiber optic cables over green infrastructure, and seems like there's some other unfounded or even feared infrastructural conflicts as a reason or given for permanent removal, which I did not hear about from the department. But this is exactly the kind of situation that is anticipated in the city's climate action plan. We can't just do business as usual. We can't just say, well, no matter how much concrete we pour on it, it just won't work. So let's cut it down. Let's just take out 2 large healthy trees, which, by the way, these aren't the private property of property owners. These are public asset. It's an urban forest, not somebody's private tree. We changed that back in 2017. That's what we voted for. The removal of these is a permanent loss. What I've not heard are what alternatives might have been considered. All I hear is concrete isn't working. What alternatives did we consider? Widening the basin? Did we consider pruning? Did we consider a small bulb out since it doesn't look like there's room for a car in front of these trees? Did we consider permeable sidewalk materials? Just want to put out there, this is a permanent removal of a public asset because no matter how much concrete we keep pouring, well, that old plan just doesn't seem to be working. And I've not heard any evidence that alternatives were considered. And therefore, I would just respectfully oppose a permanent removal of these trees on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, Mr. John Nolte.
Good morning. Yes, as I seen, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
These trees, again, mature trees, again, all I hear is the concrete and how it's affecting the possibly the houses on the street. Therefore, DPW is not, is more interested in dealing with the concrete, but I don't hear anybody saying that they're going to trim the trees. So therefore, that would take care a real trimming to the back of the trees that are hitting the windows and the gutters and the other things that were described to the houses, the 4 houses as they were explained with these 2 trees. I don't see, again, when I looked at things, I can't find an address for 85 Toka Way. So therefore, and also it's blacked out on Google. So, again, it just becomes a hardship for people to see things clearly. Again, for Vandermeer to make it so you can't see his house, I find that very disturbing to the public to recognize what's going on with these trees on Google. So for those reasons, I also would recommend not to remove these trees, just to be pruned. The city can do that since it's their responsibility. And also these are mature trees. They were healthy trees. I didn't, and again, since there's no permit to remove, therefore, all I hear was a permit for or request to deal with the sidewalk, nothing to do with the tree itself. Just the sidewalks were the issue with the city. So therefore, again, deny it because it's a sidewalk issue, not a tree issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Nolte.
All right, thank you. I was just unmuted. It seems to me that, once again, we're up against the few and the many, and these are public assets, so that's for the many. It also seems to me that only one branch of the city government is doing its job, which is collecting complaints and not necessarily doing their responsibility, which possibly is, when was the last time these trees were pruned? I would like to hear that. because that seems to be one of the main issues is when were these trees pruned, which could have helped this presentation deal with the public a little bit better, which if the prunings were done, then maybe the property owners wouldn't be mentioning that there were problems in the gutters, problems with the roof, problems with their windows. It seems like they're finding all the reasons why the trees are brushing up against their property. And maybe whose fault is it now? It's the city's. The city has to maintain the trees. So it's kind of like who's really at fault here? It's the city for not pruning the trees, not the tree itself. The tree can't talk. So tree can't ask for help. The tree can't get the response from the city to do its job to come fix the problem so I don't have complaining neighbors. Plus you're just because the neighbors say, well, there's plenty of trees. Well, if these trees are cut down, I'd like to see them replaced somewhere nearby in the city. We're losing trees. You can't just so anyway, first I'd like to see the trees remain. Second, if they're going to be cut down, then the trees have to be replaced. You can't just say, well, we're removing them. And again, as has already been mentioned, it's only been said that there's problems with the sidewalks, and those should be able to be fixed too. I mean, this tree is an asset. Both these trees are assets, and they should remain that way.
30 seconds.
It would seem to me these trees are at least probably 15 years old or older, and have benefited this neighborhood for some time and the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, if not, I have some questions for Mr. Sullivan. Kaden? Do you know what the sidewalk width is on this block?
Yes, it's 6 feet.
6, okay. And then do you know when the last time it was pruned?
I can find that information out
Okay,
online, and I can tell you that after the hearing.
okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like the trees have been pruned, at least recently. Looks like there's still a lot of canopy on it.
Oh yeah, it's very very close to the buildings as well. So yeah, they're due for a pruning. March of this
So
year.
let's say
is
they
what
do
I've just
prune
heard.
it. Let's say
What
they
I've
do
just-
prune it.
Mhm.
They would prune the street side of the tree, and would they prune the property side of it? Or would that be too much pruning? I know they want to prune the street side so that the street cleaner can get by and not hit the branches.
So we do prune for clearance issues to buildings and houses. But for these trees, pruning them more on the side toward the house will just cause the tree to be a little more unbalanced. It'll continue to grow one-sided. As you can see, it's very unbalanced as is, to growing toward the street. And so it's very much a case of where the tree is too narrow of a sidewalk to really grow into its natural shape.
Which is more outward?
More
I'd
balanced.
say?
Yeah, more balanced. Yeah, it's more
Okay.
canopy evened out. And in this case where the tree is, it's too close to the houses and it's caught between not being able to shift over.
Sure. Okay. So these are slated for or proposed for no replacements because of the sidewalk width,
Yes.
utilities. If it's, approved, where would a replacement go? Or is there going to be a replacement?
The replacement would have to go on our list of replacement of our tree replacement list, and it would have to be replaced somewhere else nearby the city, just not in this same spot.
Sure, okay, probably somewhere where there
Maybe
might
on
be
an
a
off street. Mhm.
wider sidewalk.
Exactly.
Okay,
Where one could fit.
sure, okay. Um, have you taken a look or another urban forester taken a look inside the meter boxes?
I have not taken a look inside the meter boxes, but I was the inspector who posted these trees. So
Okay,
who was there on site.
okay. Is it possible to regrade or, perform a sidewalk replacement and possibly regrade the street so that, the sidewalk so that, the tree can remain?
It's not something I know too much on for
Mhm.
process, but it is something that I think we can consider. But it's going beyond the scope of just the tree's health at that point. In my view, it's going into the BSM's Bureau of Street Maintenance side of things
Sure,
in terms of
and
like what they're.
all the sidewalk grades will need to be
Mhm.
redesigned.
Yeah.
I think I heard Mr. Huey mention ADA report of some sort. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of an ADA report, but I do know that we can't do a tree basin expansion, which is something we've done in
Correct.
similar instances because there's not enough space for
Yeah.
a path of travel, 4 foot path of travel
Yeah.
to go through.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all I had for you. Thank you.
Okay. Mhm.
Mr. Huey, can you elaborate a little bit more on that ADA report that you're talking about?
I don't have an ADA report. I was just questioning whether it was ADA compliant. I believe the ADA requires like a 2 feet clearance, but that's my understanding. So I'm not an ADA expert. So, but if you looked at one of my pictures where I showed the width of that narrow walkway, I mean, there's no way that people that have, sort of like walking with walkers or wheelchairs can get through there. And we've seen them go out into the street to go around the 2 trees even sometimes. And that creates dangers for the public.
Okay.
There's no reason for that. So I don't have a specific ADA report.
Okay. Okay, I probably misheard. Okay, thank you. All right, any other public comments? Okay, seeing no more, I will. Sorry, Mr. Huey. That was it. Yeah, if you have any other comments, please send it to the email urbanforestry@sfdpw.org. I will now close this item and make my recommendations to the director. Moving on to the next item, order number 212042. Mr. Sullivan, please make your presentation.
So this is for 2309 Broderick Street, and it was to consider the removal of 1 street tree without replacement. Staff denied the removal and the applicant appealed. There's a little bit of a history to this removal. The original removal permit was 792-864, was issued in January 2023. And after the initial denial, appeal, and departmental hearing, the removal application was submitted as non-construction related and with a replacement of a new tree that was mandated by the hearing order from that departmental hearing, 207464. They omitted that they had planned construction for when they filed for this removal permit. The replacement with the new tree was indicated in the hearing order. After consideration, and you can see here in the yellow box, after consideration of correspondence and testimony provided, the recommendation is to sustain the appeal and approve the removal with replacement. Yeah. The replacement tree was to be planted within 6 months of the initial of the issuance of the removal permit, and with the special condition that 1 replacement tree required in the right of way or replaced in the same location as the tree removed. The replacement was to be planted within 6 months. Instead, a building permit application was filed, 2023-061-60294. Near the close of that 6-month window, which precluded the required planting. At no point did the following issuance did the applicant reach out to us or revise or update their planting permit despite the known construction plans. They're adding and for context, they are adding a 2-car garage. And just for the size of the trees, for size comparison, you can see on this plan set for the area that they were intending on planting, for this new planting area, was not fit for, it didn't meet the minimum growth space requirements for of 3 feet with to meet the removal permit conditions. And the original tree was definitely like, and they can't plant in the original spot either because that's where the garage is going. And so just for size, for a good comparison of size, they are replacing a very large canopy with a very small ceanothus, far below the in-kind replacement value. Yeah, and just to reiterate, there's the original spacing was a 5x5 basin for the tree that was there, and the new tree would just be a Ceanothus Ray Hartman, and the spacing on their plants does not even meet the requirements. There's also other clearance issues with the street light blocking planting for that on the street, as well as existing utilities. So their space for alternative locations on the property would not work. So departmental policy dictates that the replacement requirement for non-construction related significant trees is 1-to-1 size with 15-gallon tree. This is what was indicated by removal permit 792-864. The departmental replacement requirement for construction related significant trees is the appraised value for this tree is $8,800 minus the possible tree plantings. We've denied the removal of the replacement tree, which was required by hearing order 207464 to be planted by July 23rd, 2023, since there are no other viable options for planting. If the denial was to be overturned in favor of the planned construction, the department recommends an in lieu fee of the appraised value of $8,800 of the original construction related removal tree to be collected. And that concludes the hearing.
Thank you. Is the property owner or its representative here to speak on this? Tanya Miller?
Hi, yes. Hi, thank you. Good morning. My name is Tanya Miller, and I am here representing my father, Ken High, who owns the property that he grew up in. And the tree was planted by my grandparents. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify the situation regarding the tree removal and the replanting requirements. All right, double checking, you can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I want to be clear from the start, we never intended to avoid fees or to cheat the system. The decision to remove the tree was made out of an urgency and safety concern, and to the best of our knowledge, we complied with everything that was required. The tree posed a serious safety hazard. Our neighbor had hired an arborist who determined the tree was at risk of falling towards his house. We then hired our own arborist who confirmed the same concern. In addition, we had 2 engineers and a soil engineer document that the tree's roots were pushing against the retaining wall between our properties, causing the wall to shift and threatening its stability. Our neighbor raised immediate liability concerns and even threatened legal action if we did not act. Although we had long-term construction plans, the decision to remove the tree was unrelated to that timeline, and it was strictly a matter of safety and urgency. And at the time that we were going through this process, actually no one did ask if it was a construction permit. That was never addressed to us. I completely thought of them as 2 unrelated Again, this is my first domain in building or anything like that. The permit we received required the tree to be removed within 6 months, which we did. Because the permit was titled removal or replant, I believe that the replanting was a separate step and not tied to the same 6-month window. We definitively knew it was a condition of the removal, did not realize that it needed to happen within 6 months. In over 53 emails and several hearings, no one stated that the replanting had to occur within 6 months. Again, I thought the removal had to happen within 6 months. We always intended to replant, and a new tree is shown on the plans we submitted to the city. We are perfectly flexible in what that tree will be. We believed it was best to wait until after the construction so the young tree would have a greatest chance of survival, particularly since city guidelines state that if the tree dies within the first 3 years, that the owner must pay to replant it. It seemed judicious to do that. The only fee ever communicated to me was the $434 permit fee, which I paid promptly. At no point did I receive a notice, an invoice, or a request for an additional fee. And despite searching my emails, the Urban Forestry website, and other city resources, I've been able to find no information about additional fees based on the size of the tree. It's difficult as a regular citizen. There's no checklist or really clear guidance explaining the process for just an average citizen, which is what I was when I was trying to do this permitting process for this. So I want to emphasize again, I'm not disputing the responsibility to replace or plant a tree or to pay what is due. I just would like to request clarity and fairness. I didn't understand that we needed to do it within 6 months. And since the rules and fees weren't really clearly communicated to me, I'm fully prepared to replant and to pay the outstanding costs. I hope that once this is resolved, the Urban Forestry will sign off site permit, and we can move forward. I appreciate your time. We do have an issue with the fact that there are utility poles and sewage lines or water lines out on the sidewalk that will make it difficult to plant 2 trees. We can plant 1 tree, I believe, is part of what the issue might be. Thank you for
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. Public comments? Mr. Clip?
Yeah, I really appreciate that comment from the homeowner's daughter. Just watching the original presentation, it felt really unclear, and I can kind of understand why that was so unclear to her, if it was unclear even on this hearing. I just want to note, speaking of being clear, that 2 of the 3 items on this agenda are purported removals without replacement. The agenda does not state that these will be added to the delayed replacement list, just that it's a proposed removal without replacement. So if it's actually going to be added to a delayed replacement versus just permanently removed and lost to the ages, can we just clearly say that it's going to be added to the delayed replacement list so that we have an actual accurate record? My understanding, I'm trying to piece this all together, is that there was a removal permit on the condition that a new tree be planted, that the homeowner went to planning, from what I can tell, got a revised permit that then precluded the ability to plant a replacement tree due to space conditions, meaning space constraints, I'm sorry. And that at some point this went from the tree was a hazard to installing a 2-car garage. And now I understand the applicant would be happy to plant a ceanothus, which is essentially a bush trained into a tree form, but there's not even enough space for that. I've attended nearly every tree removal hearing since 2017, and honestly, I've never seen anything like this. I appreciate the homeowner's willingness to pay the original, the value of the original tree. I think that would be helpful. But I'd also just note that this doesn't make the city look great. There just seems to be a real lack of clarity, a lack of a plan, and even just the lack of attention to detail and things like, is this a removal without replacement, or is this being added to the delayed replacement list? It would be helpful for these things to be very clear from the department to the public, and for the departments to coordinate between themselves if you're talking about planning and public works, essentially asking or requiring different things of the public and of homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John Nolte?
Good morning. So, yes, I see that, again, I believe I was probably at the prior hearing with this 2 years ago. And now hearing it again, again, if the paperwork is not been done correctly to the property owner, then the property owner is not clear about the process, and therefore it creates a problem for not just her, but the public and also her neighbors to understand that, the family's trying to do their best to deal with a tree, and then the new plans to put in a garage. And unfortunately, because the city has this emphasis of when you're dealing with a garage, they want to take out the tree. That complicates this issue because you already have an ongoing record for removing trees for garages. So this becomes an issue that the original request to remove the tree did not include the proposed plan to put in a garage. So obviously it falls back to the original permit that was granted, and therefore this problem was not addressed at that time. And therefore, this creates the problem we currently are at. And obviously, people don't understand when the hearing officer doesn't. I mean, the hearing officer can understand this, but DPW doesn't seem to understand it, because if they were more concise about how they communicated with the property owner, we wouldn't be at this hearing probably, and it would have been taken care of. But now we are. And I don't feel this comfortable that the property owner is being requested to plant one or more trees, and also pay a fine, and also because they didn't do the tree planting within 6 months. So everything seems to be against the property owner in this presentation, which I don't think is fair. And also, even though the granddaughter of the owner, spoke, I feel that there should be some issues with the process. And so obviously, DPW's got to have a learning curve here. You have
30 seconds.
At DPW, they should be fixing the problems that are in DPW instead of prolonging the problem. And I think as a hearing officer should understand that this is an internal problem with DPW and how they handle their permits and not being precise to the property owners. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Nolte?
I don't think it helps to point fingers, but I do think it helps to find ways to correct problems. And one way of correcting problems, which actually the property owner representative mentioned, which was to create a flow chart of some sort. And I think that I think the hearing officer could make See, the hearing officer does have a lot of responsibilities. They're hearing a hearing, and one way these things can be resolved is make recommendations to our elected officials. If it can't be done internally through the Public Works, then maybe it needs to be done legislatively to make recommendations to the our legislative branch of City and County of San Francisco. These kinds of things happen at Board of Appeals. Why can't they happen here? The hearing officer should be held to a higher standard of trying to oversee how to fix problems so they don't occur again. Maybe that's over this process, but I do see on the screen it says something about 7/23/23. So is the tree still there, or has it been removed? This is over a year and a half later. or I mean, it's actually 2 years later, since 7/23/23. So I'm not clear. Plus the fact that it was mentioned a 2-car garage. Is that 2 cars width or 2 cars depth? If it's 2 cars width, then maybe making the garage only a 1-car garage. And maybe some of these issues can be resolved in another way. Anyway, either way, there seems to be, again, the problem of trees having to cause problems everywhere, where it also seems the trees can't speak. So, poor tree. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, Mr. Sullivan has some questions.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the tree has been removed, right?
Yes, the tree is gone.
Okay. And then the garage is tandem or is it side by side?
It is side by side,
Side by side.
I believe.
Can Ms. Miller clarify that for us? Or confirm?
It is tandem, not side by side.
Okay, tandem.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
And then back to Mr. Sullivan. Where was the replacement tree supposed to go?
Either in the same spot, or in the planting area, in this green highlighted area on the presentation. Or wait. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Let me get the right information. But yeah, ideally it would have been in the same location. Would have been great for where the tree is, but since the new garage is going there, we can't put the tree in the garage. So, and we didn't know about that in the original
Okay.
removal permit issuance.
Okay, so removal with replacement in the same location with the same, you said 1-to-1 size, 15 gallon, was that correct?
Ideally, yeah, it would have been 1-to-1. Of course, this tree is too large for that area, so we can work with a replacement of similar value.
So that's a 15 gallon. What size would that look like? What's a 15 gallon?
15 gallon size box for
Okay.
the tree container that it comes in.
Okay. So if that went in a sidewalk, what would that look like? Or is that even possible with the 15 gallon in the sidewalk?
Yeah. Well, typically we require 24-inch gallons, so they're 15 gallons smaller. So, but for construction, and since this is a significant tree, we can work with a 15 gallon.
Okay, so is that a 3x3, 4x4?
It'd be a 3x3.
3x3.
And the original
Okay.
tree was a 5x5 basin. So
Okay. Okay, so with the 3x3 in the plans for the garage, there would be no space on the sidewalk for a replacement tree?
not with the utilities present. And yeah, not with the utilities present and not with the street light present. No.
Okay. So
There is-
utilities on the left side and then, or down the block, downside of the house, and then upside is the utility pole
Yeah, exactly. As the street light.
and the gas. Okay. And the replacement value was, you said 8,800? Okay. All right. Thank you. And just to clarify, Mr. Clip's comments, where we are proposing no replacements, when we remove a tree, sort of that tree goes on the, it still gets replaced, it's just not directly there, but it goes on the deferred list.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Is that list public? So, you know, if whenever a replacement tree is not possible, the public can make sure that it is being placed on the deferred list.
I can find the list, and one second, sorry.
Okay.
So just to clarify, my discussion with my colleague is that since this was a significant tree removal, this would not be on Public Works's deferred list because it is on the property owner's responsibility to replace this tree.
Okay.
To replace, yeah.
Okay. So really is the sort of in lieu fee that kind of kicks into the, not in lieu, but the replacement tree
Yeah, the
appraisal?
replacement value for the tree, yeah,
Okay.
for the appraisal. Because we can't just do an in lieu fee for, we can do in lieu fees for projects like this garage like this garage addition. But since this already this is precluding the garage addition, so this is not something we can
Sure.
tie in a lieu fee to.
Okay. Okay. And so the 8,800 replacement tree value appraisal fee, urban forestry would take that and then kind of use that towards one of its, or, you know, a couple of its deferred trees on the list?
I believe so. I could check with my colleagues on that one with what we
Okay.
do with the fines. I believe the removal fines are, I mean, not fine. The removal fees are calculated onto that list, but I need to check and get
Okay.
back to you on that.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other public comments for people that have not spoken? Okay, if not, I will close this item, make my recommendations to the director. And then our final item, order number 212045. Mr. Sullivan, please
Okay.
introduce it.
Yeah, so this is for 4333 26th Street. This is for the removal of one street tree with replacement adjacent to the address. We denied the removal and the applicant has appealed. So this tree is in good condition. It's another New Zealand Christmas tree. It has its natural structure. It has a large basin, large sidewalk to exist in, to thrive in rather. And so the structure, there's no clear structural issues that or deficiencies that impact this tree. It has a very low likelihood of failure for the species. Its current structure. It took decades of growth for this tree to reach its established size. And despite its deficiencies, it's still worth its minor deficiencies of structure. It's still worth retaining. The project is to just remove one single family home and replace it with another single family home. They're just shifting they're adding a third floor and moving the garage over. So they need the tree out of the way for their plans to get approved. And as you can see, this tree is just large and the sidewalk has been maintained through the years. More pictures of the tree. The tree has been trimmed and has been relatively worked on and maintained fairly well, despite, I think, this little gap at the top on the left, photo on the left. You can see some minor light exposure that is going through the tree. Our mitigations required if the denial is overruled is that we've appraised this tree for $4,700 and the replacement tree is valued at a replacement tree is valued at $25.90. So we just take the appraised value, subtract the new tree value to a $2,110 if the tree is replaced. So it'd be one 24-inch box tree plus the 2,100 is just our mitigation, is our finding. If the department grants a tree removal permit, it shall require that the street tree or trees of equivalent replacement value to the one removed be planted in place of the removed tree as part of our Article 16 Public Works Code. And here's some plans, some visuals on the plan sets and what they intend to do. The existing tree. The new tree is going to be too close to the neighboring tree as well. Just for reference, here's if they shifted the tree on the left over to the right, as their plans are intending, it will be too close to that other tree. It'll be about 5 feet away, which is too close. We tend to try to keep at least 15 to 20 feet between the street trees, just so that they're not competing and overgrowing onto each other. So to keep them sustainable. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Property owner or its representative, is that Nicole Wood?
I also have some slides to share. Is it possible
Sure.
for me to share my screen?
Yes.
Sure, just one moment. I'm going to pull you over as a panelist, and after you come over, you're going to accept the invitation, and then after you come over, you'll need to unmute once again.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
can see it. Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. My name is McCall. I'm a project manager at Winter Gibson Architects. My colleague Jeff Gibson is also here with me today. So today I'm going to be speaking on our client's behalf. This is the third time our hearing was rescheduled, so fingers crossed, we're hoping third time's a charm and we can get this resolved as soon as possible so as to not further delay the production of this new home. Our amazing mayor, Daniel Lurie, is trying to accelerate permitting, so we're hoping for your support in this initiative to get this home permitted as quickly as possible. So today we're requesting to remove one street tree in front of our client's property at 4333 26th Street. This existing tree, as noted, is a New Zealand Christmas tree. There's actually only one other New Zealand Christmas tree on our block. We are proposing to replace it with one new street tree in order to maintain and preserve the urban forest, and specifically with a species that will better integrate with the other tree species currently on the block, and one that is also more utility friendly. We're requesting to remove the tree for 2 reasons. The first being the health and safety hazards it poses. Since the tree is too close to the existing sewer lateral, the tree roots broke the sewer lateral, which caused sewage to spill onto the sidewalk and into the home, which you can see on the image in the middle of this slide. Additionally, the New Zealand Christmas tree is a relatively fast-growing tree species. It's not considered utility friendly. The large canopy, as you can see here, is currently growing up into the overhead power lines, and it will continue to do so, which poses a fire safety issue. You can also see the portions of the sidewalk in the lower right-hand image, which had to be replaced due to that sewer lateral breaking from the tree roots. Lastly, the second reason we're requesting to remove the existing tree is to allow our proposed home design to comply with the planning code. In order for a proposed home's design to fit under the allowable height limit per RH1 zoning, the new driveway and curb cut are required to be at the lower elevation of the property, which is on the left of the front elevation, as you see here on the screen. Furthermore, our over-the-counter discussions with planning required the garage to be at this lower elevation in order to limit the height of the garage massing itself and to minimize the number of stairs up to the front door that are within the front setback. Our replacement tree location will also allow us to remove and correct existing non-compliant sidewalk warping on the street and bring the sidewalk up to proper standard for safe and accessible pedestrian passage. So, in conclusion, we're requesting to remove this one existing street tree and replace it with one new street tree for these two reasons. Thank you guys for everyone's time today.
Thank you. Public comments, please. Mr. Clip.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just regarding the delayed replacement list, I've asked that whenever a tree is placed on the delayed replacement list, that the decision not only note this, but also that the decision say where this tree would sit on that list. Is it up next? Is it number 200 on the list? This would go a long way in terms of transparency to the public. At the last tree removal hearing, there was some discussion around this, and it was explained that the list isn't posted publicly anywhere, and while it's a public record, it's not super clear. So just ask that be really clear on the decisions. So where this tree, to review, it's in good shape. This is according to the department. It's in a large basin. It's on a large sidewalk. It has good structure. It has low likelihood of failure, and it's healthy and worth retaining. That is remarkable when you're talking about any tree, not just in the context of a removal hearing, but in the city. $4,700, that does not even get you new trees because that doesn't account for the city's labor cost to water a tree for 3 years. So if the department is overruled, you got a tree with what looks like at least a 15-inch diameter. I'm just guessing. It wasn't said explicitly. You can't even replace that with two 24-inch box trees. This isn't about health and safety. It's not about accessibility. It's not about fire hazards. There are PG&E requirements around trees and power lines, and PG&E takes care of that all over the city, usually to the extreme. And there's no evidence that this tree has caused infrastructural issues. Those seem to be unsupported assertions designed to shore up or what's the real reason for removal here. This is not to build a new home. This is not to build multiple homes or affordable homes. This is to replace an existing home with more space. It's not adding housing, it's replacing an existing garage. As somebody who has been a volunteer planting leader with Friends of the Urban Forest for 15 years, it is so wildly discouraging to see a tree that has actually made it, that is healthy, that is viable, that is thriving, that's on a sidewalk where it can exist, where people and trees can coexist, where it's not going to be removed and then the sidewalk's too narrow. And it's just so discouraging to see this kind of thing still happening, in contradiction to what's called for in the Urban Forest Plan, in contradiction to what's called for in our Climate Action Plan. We have got to be thinking more about the future and less about ourselves today. So I would just respectfully oppose permanently killing a healthy, thriving tree for a third story in a garage. This is exactly the kind of removal permit that should be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. John Nolte.
Yes, this is not like the first hearing we've heard about a replacement building of the same, again, of a house. and that I've been to, maybe not, it's just not DPW, but also planning department. And so therefore, you know, I question when a property owner has a house and then decides to enlarge the house that they just have or bought and then increase the size just for whatever whim they have to make it bigger on the street, whatever. I don't hear, you know, the neighbors, you know, if that's going to complain with them because the, you know, the bigger house is going to be taking away the view of the neighbor behind them or something, or next to them, because of the higher mass of this building. And then also it already has a garage, so adding a garage, you know, again, I don't see a purpose for this to be at this hearing. And also since it was already denied, I think that's sort of the standard that, you know, again, as it says on the agenda, that this is the it was, you know, denied by staff already. So I'm going to go with the denial that always been agreed upon by staff for this hearing order 212045. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Nolte?
Well, good morning still. It seems to me that again, let's talk in reality. The tree is a public benefit, therefore being a public benefit, it's one of the many. The tree is for the many, whereas the person that spoke about this property is representing one of the few in the city and county of San Francisco. And this is it's kind of funny how people are getting paid to do a job, to be in the real estate market. They would like to invoke the name of the mayor or somebody else, thinking that's going to shake the boots of making the city better. Yes, our mayor has done a lot, but that's not what this is about. This is not about how one person or our leadership of the city operates. This is a hearing office. This is a hearing about trees, not about how this should be about the tree. So everything else should be irrelevant. So the tree has not done anything wrong. So therefore the tree should not be removed, period. So again, speaking for the tree needs to have a voice in this matter. And therefore the tree has said, keep me. I'm giving benefits to this neighborhood. I'm giving benefits to the community. I'm giving benefits to the city and county of San Francisco. And yes, I might have voted for the mayor, but I wasn't able to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. Probably quick question for Mr. Sullivan. Is the current tree competing for light and water with the tree up the hill?
Is it competing? No, it is far enough away currently. I could pull up the slides and reshare.
Okay.
Just show you again.
Okay, I'm just looking at Street View and it looks like that tree up the hill is a little sparser.
It's a bit smaller, but it's also it looks like a different species as well. So
Yeah, it's not a New Zealand Christmas tree, but it looks like it's similar to the one uphill from it. And the one uphill from it looks more full. And then the one up the street looks, you know, full too. It's just the one right next to this New Zealand looks a little, I guess,
let me see if I
less
can
dense.
I'll pull up Street View and see what I can see what you're talking about, because maybe it's Yeah, looks like it was it was planted at a different time, is what it
Okay.
looks like. So it looks like a smaller tree,
Okay,
just age-wise. But yeah, and
Yeah.
if they want to plant a replacement tree closer to it, it's definitely going to compete.
yeah. And looks like the basin's been enlarged.
And it looks like the basin has been expanded, if not once, maybe multiple times.
Mhm.
As well as the tree looks like it's a little bit further back from the courtesy curb,
Sure.
the curb.
Okay,
Yeah. So it also looks, yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think I had a question maybe for Miss Wood.
Hello, yes.
You mentioned that the garage needed to be moved down the hill for ADA and sidewalk warping issues. Is that correct?
No, more so it was in order to meet the planning code requirements, was the shifts to the downhill side of the lot. Just shifting it downhill would kind of result in us fixing all of those ADA issues with the sidewalk because we'd be redoing the sidewalk with the new curb cut.
Okay. Um, I'm just looking at the house to the right of it, and they have the garage on the uphill side. So I'm just wondering why that cannot be the case here as well.
Yeah, so for our program and the program that the client wanted for this property,
Mhm.
in order to fit the entire program into the allowable height limit per the planning code, we essentially needed to shift the garage to the lower height of the property, which would allow us to fit all of that program within the height limit. Um,
Okay.
the neighboring house that you're mentioning, the uphill one is non-complying for its height limit. So just how they have their garage situated right now is going to be a little bit different for us working within that allowable height limit for our proposed new project.
Okay. And we're going for the 40-foot height limit here?
Yes, we are under a 40-foot height limit.
Okay. Do you know what the height is of that uphill property?
Of our neighboring property,
Yes.
I can grab that for you. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I can look to grab that. Let's see if I can find it. I actually don't have the height off the top of my head. Is
Okay.
that something I could get and provide to you afterwards?
Yeah, can you send me the plans of this property? 4333.
Mhm.
You can send it to urbanforestry@sfdpw.org.
Okay.
Okay. That's all the questions I had. Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, if not, I will close this item and make my recommendation to the director. And that concludes our hearing for this morning. Thank you for your time and attendance. This hearing is now closed.